and the rest. So I'll be going forward to the dashboard teardown, right? This particular series is a series that was introduced by analytics sages to give community members the opportunity to, walk us through their dashboard, tell us the insights, the problem that arose, the solution they took towards solving that problem, and as well as the insights gotten from their project. So with us, we have Mr. Josh. Josh is a Dune wizard and an on-chain analyst. So we are very happy that he honored our invitation and he's here with us to, yes, walk us through his dashboard. So, Mr. Josh, over to you. You have the floor. Thank you so much.
Okay, GM, everybody. GM, thank you for the opportunity. Please, am I audible? Okay, yeah, I'm audible. Yes, I'm audible. GM, hi, everybody. Trust you guys are doing okay. I'm Joshua Nwachukwu, that's my full name. I'm a blockchain data analyst. Very good and fluent using SQL, Python, using Dune, and I've built a lot of beautiful works on this blockchain space so far. So yeah, I would like to I appreciate the opportunity once again to showcase more like my thought process, towards how I approach analytics, especially using Dune, using one or two, let's say one or two dashboards I've built on Dune. So let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so we can be using that as a reference point. Yeah, so I guess you all can see my screen. This is my Dune account. Yeah, this is my Dune account basically. So yeah, this is me basically on Dune. This is my Dune profile. I have built a couple of dashboards, 12 of them, and over 259 queries, and majorly contributing to project growth with my insights. That's my major aim and objective. Yeah, so basically as an analyst, that's basically the drive basically that I have towards project. What will someone see in my analytics and use as a key indicator for ecosystem growth or for development somewhere? That's the way I try to tackle analysis. How will these insights be valuable to this project, to the team, to the community? Yeah, I made a post this morning. I make posts often on Twitter, and I was talking about that. I just made reference of one of the dashboard I did on running games. Let me make this thing use a lighter theme. I made reference to one of this particular dashboard that I made on running games. Yeah, I'm a lover of running blockchain, and I love game. I love GameFi. So I made reference to this dashboard that I made on running games that was featured on Dune Digest, episode 17 on Dune Digest. So if you go to Dune, go to their digest something, go to episode 17, you'll see this dashboard there. It was not just only featured, it was also sent as an email to Dune's users, like over 1 million of them. Dune has a lot of subscribers. So I personally am a subscriber. I even received this analysis in my email, and it was done exactly the same thing. That was exactly what was done for other people that subscribe to Dune. So this dashboard, Dune themselves found this very, very intriguing. Like they found this very, very insightful that they said, no, come on, we have to put this. This was also putting running blockchain as one of the top, as basically the top. Like it was like an eye opener, basically, to many people. That running blockchain is doing this. Yeah, running blockchain is the hottest when it comes to gaming. So basically, you can say that apart from the insight that this dashboard gave towards how gamers interact with different games, especially these 13 games. It also showcased running blockchain as the gaming hub, basically, compared to any other blockchain. We all know that running is the number one for gaming, but many it created awareness. So that's one of my wins with this dashboard, and those are one of the things that drove me that I wanted to achieve by doing this. Yeah, so I did a couple of. I love doing user behavioral analysis. I love doing user behavioral analysis. So this is one of the things that I did in this dashboard that really caught teams' attention and running blockchain attention as well. Yeah. So okay, I'll be coming to this. So I think okay, for this dashboard here down, like to just break down what I've done for a project, I would like to use this recent dashboard I did for Planet Horse. Now, if you notice, I have been building. I'm a multi-chain person. I'm not major on one chain. Basically, I'm not limiting myself. Analysts can say, okay, niche down to this particular place, this particular chain or this ecosystem, and build and dive deep in it. Yeah, I'm big on that, of course. And I've done almost the same for running. I've dug deep on running blockchain because of my love for it. However, I don't limit myself to one blockchain because opportunities present itself. When opportunities present itself, it will not tell you that it must be running. Like if a couple of projects I've worked on now, they have done one on Ton. I've done a couple on Solana. This particular project gave me a lot of money when I analyzed copy trading, basically top wallets and their trading activity for someone to copy trade on Solana. TBL sniper and snipper wheels tracking on this Condis Hub TVL calculation, manual TVL calculation using their conduit bridges contracts, basically, and such like that. So when all these ones are obviously not on running. This one is on Ethereum, this one is on Solana, this one is Ton, this is Avalanche. There are many. This one is Magic Eden, that one is on Solana as well. So I don't niche down 100% to one chain. I'm very versatile. Like I really like broadening my horizon, not limiting myself to one place. Because when opportunity presents itself, I won't want to be okay, not experienced in this other field. And I want to grab all the opportunities that come my way as like grabbing all of them. I don't want to give any chance that I can't do this. That's one of the things that motivates me while doing what I'm doing. So yeah. So coming okay. I went to open the thing. Sorry. Notification. So talking about this Planet Horse dashboard. Now I think this is the use case. This is a dashboard that I will be using for this dashboard teardown. And I'm not using my this is my other browser. My main Dune account is not logged in here. So I'm trying to use my alt Dune account so that I won't interfere with the previous work, what I did here. Like I can see the queries, I can see everything I was doing here from this other account here, but I don't want to let's say make a mistake and tamper with what I've done. So I'll be using this. So before I kick off with the with this, what I did in this project, I'll dissect it. Basically, like I said, I always like before starting a project, the way I think before starting a project, I always like to what do I do? What can I do? Number one, to stand out. Like this analysis should be badass. I don't want it to be just common. What can I do to make a difference? To make somebody look at this and want to stick to it and drive insights from it and say, oh wow, this is not just good, this is wow. You get, because some of those things basically something like if you do something like outstanding, basically it will not just only make the person you're doing it for happy, but it also give you or open doors to more connection, more jobs, more opportunities, and that kind of thing. So that's my goal. That's what I try to aim with any single dashboard or project I'm working on. So Planet Horse is a very popular running project, a running game per se. They deal on racing. Yeah, so the founder of this project reached out to me and said, oh wow, I love what you did on Kitty World, and I also love what you did on that running games dashboard I showed you guys earlier on. Please replicate something, build something for me that tracks 4 major contracts. He gave me the contract addresses. I kind of encoded them in this text. If you look at this part of my screen, the left bottom part, you'll be seeing where I put the the clickable links to those contract addresses. So it gave me 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4 contract addresses of this project, and say, okay, I don't really have a specific roadmap like for you to build, because I know that you have what you built in the past is really wonderful. Kindly build something for me. I trust your instincts. I trust how you think as an analyst, because I've seen your work. Build something for me talking about this with these 4 different contracts of our project. I was able to read through the documentation of the project to a certain extent. So I was now okay trying to get, since the guy didn't give me a clear picture of what he wants, but he wants something very nice. I tried to just grab all I could get before kicking off with this project. So as soon as I had it, I now proceeded with the project. One of the things I did again before kicking off with this project is that I itemized what I want to showcase. For example, if I scroll through this dashboard, apart from this text, all these ones are just talking about the project, just an overview, and all this fancy stuff on top are just so that it will just draw this one will be attractive to anybody that looks at it. So I also put that into consideration. I don't want the dashboard to be looking boring when someone clicks on it. So, but that's not the main part of the project. So normally I literally now started drafting before kicking off with this project. I literally started drafting. Okay, basically from this guy's point of view now, and from what this project from what these guys are building, and what this guy could probably be interested in. He didn't give me hints. Basically, he just wanted to trust my instincts or how I think based on how I approach projects to do it. I started thinking, wanting to think like him, and what will I be showcasing on this dashboard. So I kind of drew a rough sketch. Always have a rough work. It could be a rough query. It could be in my notebook on my working environment and stuff like that. So I started drafting out things. Okay, what can I do here? What can I showcase on this dashboard? Then when I started getting insights on that, how will I now start breaking it out further? Of course, I was given 4 contracts. So I should do a very detailed analysis for each contract. This one is 1. This one is 2. I should do a very detailed analysis of the 4 contracts. That's 1, that's 2, this is 3. Then this is the 4th contract, basically. I should basically do detailed analysis of these 4. So I now got that overview stuff, like what I wanted to plan, what I had planned out, basically. Then I began building. Then aside doing detailed something, I need to still do an overview stuff. Basically, I need to do so that someone that comes into this dashboard can see, okay, what is going on before you start going in depthly to each part of this project. Each like the activity of each of these contracts now on running blockchain now. So I did an overview. So I really love doing user behavioral analysis. Like if most of the works I've done, I love that because that's a really good, very good growth indicator for projects. How are users interacting with your project? How are they retaining over time? How is your project activating them? And basically, what's the churn rate? So let's say, of course, there are many. I can, maybe if we have time, I'll go back to that running dashboard where I did proper user behavioral analysis, where that's kind of what made Dune pick that dashboard and posted it on Dune Digest. So I did an overview section, like, okay, answering this question. I always love, before proceeding, I always like to ask myself a question. And also answering a question that any user that basically this dashboard should answer. So I'll basically say, okay, which of these sectors, the token, the NFT, okay, the project has a token and NFTs, and 3 NFTs. One of the contract address is a token on running blockchain. The other 3 are NFTs. Which of these 3 sectors, I kind of made them sectors, are gaining the most traction and dominating activity on running blockchain, and how are users and trading responding to each? So I made sure that, okay, this overview section, I don't want to be doing a boring overview section like, okay, daily active users, okay, it's not that it's boring, but I don't want it to just be so simple or simplifying it only on daily active users, volume, this and this, blah blah, those kind of things. So I wanted something that is more comprehensive and detailed that also tell this project wow, that the project owner wow. So that's why I now kind of added this how are users and traders responding to it. That's users' behavior, users' response to each sector. This is just an overview. So I now started going in depthly. Let me kind of start opening. Let me open the queries one by one. Our time is really flying. Let me open this and open this. Let's talk about this two first. So this particular query is 5516 yeah, this is it. So this chart basically I use in from this query. And if I want to expand this query, I'll just press Shift Control F to expand it so that I'll be having a clear view of the query in particular. So prior to my analysis, I always like doing exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis will now tell me, okay, will now give me more insights on how I can further research more on this project, how I can further investigate more on this project, how I can further decode on-chain interactions, wallets, events, on-chain events on running blockchain. There's no time. If not, I would have been doing this and at the same time opening running Explorer to check, just kind of showing you how I was basically switching from year to year, checking, okay, the contract for this particular contract now is when I go to the contract section on running blockchain, if I open the to read the contract, this particular one, I was saying yes, it was not like read at first, it was just showing normal read. So I'll read the contract on chain. And I say, okay, what are the more to find more detailed stuff about this contract. So basically that's it. So after doing that one, I basically now started saying, okay, I made a query like this. I like encoding my code somehow. So let me open this query that I now did here. And I said, okay, for each of these contracts, first of all, so that I would do a very neat work, I kind of like created a mini table for myself that, okay, for each of these contracts, this is the name, this one is for the token, first token, this is the contract, these are the NFTs, three of them, origin horses, client source items, offspring horses. Yeah, so I just put all of them in this particular this thing. So I'm now going to be extracting data from this. Sure, you get. I'll now be extracting data from this. So that's kind of how I did this place. So in the main query where I'll be working with this particular query, I will just be extracting the name and the contract address from this particular query. This one is quite straightforward. I put it in this city. I guess we all know cities. Cities are a type of subquery. A type of subquery that is a better way to write subqueries so that your work will be neat, so that you optimize query runtime, like query execution time. Cities have faster query execution time because they kind of run like city by city when it's executing, compared to subqueries that, let's say, if a subquery is inside here, for example, after this place now, if this is a subquery now, the query runtime can be longer. So to optimize your query, doing cities are better. So that's kind of why I did this. Sorry, I didn't delete this. I left it here for a reason. If I want to do comparative analysis, but the metrics I got here are similar to what I did here. Here I was using I was doing NFT transfer stable. I was doing tokens transfer stable. Yeah, but here I now properly started using these tables. And these are another thing that exploratory data analysis will tell me. Like when I start doing exploratory data analysis, of course, it's not here in my rough work. I will now say, okay, this is the right table that I'm supposed to use for this analysis. Because that is one very confusing thing about using Dune, knowing the right table to use to do your analysis. So exploratory data analysis will now start telling you, okay, for this contract address, I can actually use this table to get the right information for this thing I'm trying to analyze. So exploratory data analysis now showed me that I can use this table. I could also use this table. What I was literally trying to analyze here is transfer transactions, like the number of transfer transactions of users that interacted with each of these sectors on a specific day. Yeah, so I figured out that okay, I could use this table. I could use the token transfers table. This token transfers table is like a subset from the token dot transfer. But this one, I don't want to be filtering by the. I don't want to be putting running in the where clause. I just use tokens underscore running dot transfers table. If you get used to doing, you'll be understanding some of these things. It's straightforward, it's not complicated. Then I also use NFTs transfer table, then filtered by blockchain running. This is one method I use in doing so. Then also, I forgot to add, exploratory data analysis showed me that, okay, not just exploratory data analysis, when I was decoding this, using the contract address to checking this, each of these contract address on running blockchain, I was able to realize that, okay, the contract address for the token is this thing is ERC20. I've forgotten what this called that thing. It's ERC20. For the token, it's ERC20 on running blockchain. However, for the NFTs, they are with using the contract addresses. So we have an NFT among those contract addresses for that is ERC721 and under contract address that is ERC115. So there are different. These two are two types of NFTs now based on the contract addresses I was given. I remember that I was given 4 contract addresses. One is for token, the other 3 are NFTs. So in this place, now what I was just trying to do here, okay, because in this kind of filtering in the where clause, since two out of the NFTs are ERC721 and just one of the NFTs is this. So in the where clause, I was able to, like, exploratory data analysis show that I could basically, of course, this table, an NFT transfers table, can only catch NFTs. It can't catch tokens. So out of those 3 NFTs now, using this kind of filter will give me results for the 2 ERC721 and one of this. I guess analysts will understand the point what I'm trying to say, Sha. If there's time and if anyone has questions, I'm always ready to answer. So that's kind of what I did there. When I did this, I was getting almost the same result of what with this, but I kind of noticed that Dune kind of updates this table faster or more. Like I'll find more up-to-date data here from this table, this event transfer table, this event transfer table, and this event transfer table compared to this NFTs transfer table or the token transfer table. So that's why I decided to stick with this, using the event transfer table. Of course, exploratory data analysis showed me all of this. That's why exploratory data analysis is very important. Yeah, so diving deeper now to the analysis now, because I wanted to get the daily transfer, basically the daily transfer transactions. I want to be getting daily transfer transactions of all these sectors now. And after doing this CTA now to get the contracts, so that to look organized. And I did this CTA for the daily start. Let me just break how I did this. This is a very, very simple CTA. Because I was working on day. First of all, let's start with, I did 3 different forms of 3 different major queries there, then union them together. Union in SQL is just like stacking rows on top of each other. But you making sure that you're arranging the columns. The columns must be arranged. If not, you have errors. So day must be stacked with day and the other day of the 3 different tables you'll be getting from each of these queries. Yeah, that's kind of what union does. So because I was analyzing token, yeah, of course, exploratory data analysis showed me that I can't be having the contract address that is inside here among those 4 contract addresses now is only token, the one that is related to the ERC20, this thing, that is a token that can appear on this table. So doing this analysis like this, like it's kind of encoded somehow that that's why I like to do my analysis though. But I've realized that I've been able to picture it that you can't find an NFT related contract inside here. It must be for the token. So I now decided to stick with this, then letting the query engine let it select matching contract addresses that are in this table. All right, time is flying. Let me try and be fast, because I have limited time. So yeah, I was basically analyzing the day because I want to get daily transaction counts, basically daily transfer transactions. I'm sticking with transfer transactions. Daily on a daily basis, yes, I truncated the event block time column to day, so that I'll be having, instead of time, I'll be having it as day. Yeah. Then I basically now I'm now counting the event transfer, events and event transaction hash. This is also the same thing as transaction hash, basically, but on this table, the name of the column is event transaction and event transaction hash. Basically, this thing I did here is very similar to just doing. I can just come here and say count all in this place, but instead I felt counting for every table basically in on Dune. For every transaction that goes on, every transaction basically has a transaction hash. So a transaction hash is like a unique identifier a for a um for a row. The no transaction has, how like to now, every transaction hash is unique. Yeah, you can't have a copy of it somewhere. So if I'm counting transaction hash is the same as counting up. I prefer using counting transaction hash than counting up, because let's say, for example, there is a transaction that does not have a transaction hash, which is likely on very, which is, it may not be possible basically with the way Dune structured that query. But let's say it happens, and that kind of scenario will not happen to me because I've done this. So I prefer using transaction hash. If I didn't count all, it's the same thing. It will still count all the transactions and give you the same results. Yeah, so I was basically counting, okay, this name as sector is not so significant because in my last sketch, I think I copied it from here and I just copied and pasted it there, because what I'm trying to analyze basically is just transfer transactions. So this is not significant. This is significant if I'm not doing sector by sector. Although this thing is going to do it sector by sector, but in the final select query, in this final select statement, it's kind of aggregating all together. So in this particular query, this is not significant. So, but is there no problem? So I did this, selecting the day, the number of transactions from this table, joined it with this contract table, this particular contract table, on matching contract addresses. Contract addresses from, because I kind of named this table RT, this event transfers table for token ERC20 as RT, that's the alias, and name this one as CA. So where this CA contract address, like this CA contract address, this contract address now, where this contract address matches with the contract address from this table. Yeah, that's basically what I did. That's basically how I joined it. And this is inner join. So it just gives me only matching rows. It doesn't give me anything that does not match. Yeah, so this cast RT contract address as varchar is just trying to format it, because if you notice, when I open this particular query, you notice that I put my the contract addresses in a quote. That quote kind of converts it from var binary according to Binance to varchar. Yeah, so that I won't be having errors, because the data type, when you are joining tables, the data types have to match. This particular column now, the data type of this particular column now is varchar, not var binary, and the data type of this particular contract address, if I'm talking a bit fast, so let's hope I'm not making a mistake with the but you guys might understand what I'm trying to say. The contract address of this particular, the contract address column of this particular table now is var binary according to Binance, but the contract address of this particular table is varchar. So I have to convert this var binary now to varchar for it to match. If not, I'll be having error. So this is basically what I did here. I did exactly the same thing here and here. Yeah, so exactly what I did here is what I did in these other ones. The only difference is that now I'm not using a different table. I'm not using a table for ERC 721 transfers. ERC 721 table is a table for NFTs that are ERC 721. So I'm using this particular table so this table now catches the two, it kind of now catches the two contract addresses now that are ELC 721. So this one now, in this particular query, I'm now having results for two contract addresses. Here is just one, because it's just one of those contract addresses that is ELC 20. But now here is two. Here is one, because one of those contract addresses is ELC 115. Yeah. if you study Dune queries, I think I saw a different table for ERC7 running event transfer batch, like batch transfer, because this ERC7115 NF kind of NFTs is different from, I think most NFTs from my observation. No, I stand to be wrong. I may be wrong, sorry. Most NFTs I've seen are ERC 721, but a few of them are this. And most NFTs that are ERC 115 are kind of a collection of another thing. That is kind of a collection from, these ones are unique. For example, if the supply is 100, the NFTs are 100. But sometimes, if the supply you are having on the running blockchain for this kind of NFT is 60, you can be having NFTs that all up to now. It's kind of in a batch. So if you are holding one NFT, you can be holding some sub NFTs inside that one that can conflict. That may look at that. If you're analyzing, you will not be seeing one or two things that might confuse. So if you are not used to some of these things, you might get confused. So I basically studied some of these things basically on running blockchain, decoded them first before proceeding with this analysis. So yeah, so I just stacked each of these together so that we're having the daily metrics for each of them. Then just did in the final statement, in the final select statement, and now did okay, the daily sum of these transactions. So that I'll be having the final results in the table. I'll be having for each day. I'll be having the number of transactions that took place on that day. And because I'm not grouping by sector, it's just collating everything for all 4 sectors. So I'm having daily number of transactions in all 4 sectors. Yeah, then this other part is just sorry. This other part basically is just using the same thing. This particular one is summing all the transactions that took place on a specific day. Yeah, but this particular one is running sum. What I did in this particular site is running sum. Running sum, if we know our SQL syntax, we use Windows function for running sum. There are 2 different ways of writing this. In some places you can see sum, like you can see sum, then whatever thing that is in the bracket over. I know many of us are SQL scholars here. So sum, whatever thing you're summing, then over clause must be there. Then partition. Okay, I'm not using partition by because I'm not partitioning by sector. So I'm not using partition by, I'm just using order by because it's kind of overall something. Order by day. And another way to still do the same thing, I will have the same result. I can say order by day, rows between unbounded preceding and current row is the same thing basically. But that one, the reason why many people do that, I could have done it here to be more accurate, but this is still the same thing as that. The reason why that is good to add that rows between unbounded preceding and current row is because if you want to do a running sum of, you don't want to start from the beginning, you want to now manipulate your running sum. That's where that will now be key. You can now know how you now change the rows between. You can now start switching it to. Okay, I don't want to go deep on that now, but if most of you did some of these things, if like I use data camp, so data camp explains some of these things very well. Windows function, yeah. So this kind of gives me the running sum from day 1 to current day, so that in the final something it will be like this. I don't need to start summing on each day. I want to be getting all the transactions one by one for each day, summing everything together to now know the total sum. This running sum now kind of for each day now gives me a line chart that now has the total number of transfer transactions of all sectors in Planet Cost. So this is very crucial because it kind of give users in this ecosystem an idea of the number of transactions that takes place in all 4 sectors on a daily basis. Number of transfer transactions, yeah. So, wow, time is really running fast. Wow. So I will just quickly come to this other query. Yeah, this is the query result. So yeah, I was trying to now get daily active users across each sector. Now, daily active users across each sector. This particular this thing I did is this chart. Is this one I want to now dissect or tear down according to the topic of this I want to tear this down right now. So here I'm trying to walk us through our thought process. Yeah, okay, I didn't hear, it depends on the vibes I'm feeling when I'm doing the analysis, and depends on the time because I didn't do all of them at the same time. So yeah, I didn't just want to stress myself trying to encode that thing so that I will not also make mistakes. So I kind of listed the contract addresses out, put them in a table like this, like select this contract address as first. This one is for the token. Select this one for these three are NFTs. So I now just kind of put a name that I will remember the aliases for each of them. Offspring horses, parent horse items, origin horses. Yeah. So I just selected them, alias this table as C. Can alias anything, can alias it as anything as long as you are consistent with it, basically, in the rest of your query. So this particular query is very, very simple. It may look long, but it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. So what I did here is, okay, after getting each of these contract addresses, putting them in this query I want to analyze, so that I'll be using what I have here now to get the daily transfer, the daily active users. Remember that I'm not doing daily active users across sectors. That is, I'm not trying to get daily active users on each sector. I'm now doing sector by sector analysis. Now I've started doing user behavior analysis, sector versus sector. So the user can now see, or anybody looking at this can now start saying, okay, this sector is doing better than this sector, or users are like this sector or more. You now, as the owner of this project, or as the major person in this project, can now start thinking, okay, what can I do to make users use this other sector that may be lacking? You understand? Or what can I encourage users that are using this sector now to keep using it? Basically, you now can now start seeing their activity, their daily activity on each of these sectors. So breaking it down, how I did this, how I tackled this is, okay, in this after doing this particular fighting particular city, in this particular section, I said, okay, I just name this city as you. I can name it as anything. I just use you. Wanted to shorten it. After I made comments here so that I'll easily understand what I'm doing. Like I won't make mistakes. Because I'm trying to analyze each of these 4 contract addresses now. So the first analysis I did here is for force. I did this here. I'm doing this thing is what I'm trying to do is daily active addresses. That's daily active users. Now, a user, or it can still be address, it can still be user, anyone. A wallet address that interacted with any of these sectors, basically, is what I'm trying to get. So now, for this particular sector, now this token sector, the token of this project now, I don't want to just, most analysis you see, most of them are focusing on the from address. That is, if the initiator of a transaction, the person that sends money from this wallet to this other wallet, that's basically the initiator of the transaction now. So I don't want to, if you notice, I'm not even using token transfer stable here. So I'm having exactly the same results with the event transfer stable. So if I switch it to the event transfer stable and switch the column names, because the event transfer stable is now having events block time and the likes, I implement all of that, I'll be having almost the same thing. So it's fine. Like anyone uses, fine. So I think one of the things I always advise analysts is, okay, if you see an analyst doing like this, like using this particular table, one thing you can use to start building your own project, if you are lost, or if you don't know where to start, or if you are confused on how to build your project, is, okay, you're taking note that token transfer stable, the result of token transfer stable is the same as events transfer stable, depending on what you are trying to do. But for this kind of scenario now, this what I'm trying to get from here, I can literally get this from events transfer stable for running. So I can now say, okay, since this person did for token transfer table, let me replicate this person's work, but I'll get my own from event transfer table. By doing that, I'll be learning the approach the person is doing. Now, I'll be learning how the person thinks towards this analysis. But I won't just copy the code. I will calm down and carefully break it down to the best of my understanding. And use, if I can't get it myself, I'll use AI to help me, of course. Yeah, so like that. When you continue, I'm just saying how I started doing mine. Over time, it will just become clear to you that you just be like, oh, this thing is not even so complicated as you may be thinking. And you'd have started building something that you can show off on Twitter. Yeah, so I use token transfer stable. So for the NFT now, okay, not NFT, for the token now, I'm doing analysis to get the daily active users. I'm not just focusing on the form addresses. I'm also getting the activity of two addresses. So I don't want only the addresses that initiated transfer transactions. I'm also targeting addresses. I'm also looking at adding analysis for people that received a transfer. For example, an address can be active with your platform, with your project, but the address was not the initiator of the transaction. The address was the receiver of the transaction. So this analysis for the tool now, this tool now captures it. Yeah, I think you might understand what I'm trying to say. If you initiate a transaction, it comes from the from and goes to the to, from and to. The reason why I put these ones in this double quotation something is because June, I don't want June to mistake this from, because this from is the name of column, a column. I don't want it to mistake this like a mistake and execute this from like is this particular from. This particular from is saying select these things from this table, but this from is its column. Yeah, so I just did that. I did the same thing to two. If I didn't do that for two, it will still be having the result. But just to avoid errors, I did it for the same thing for two. So yeah, so I'm using token transfer table for the tokens now, for the from and the to. Now, so I'm not getting okay for each day. For each day, I'm using my day trunk as usual. I want to be getting the daily active address in this sector. This one is not part of the table. It's not part of this table. I just added this column so that the data will be having, if I'm having the rows, basically this is the column now. The column will be day. Then I'm having results for day down in the rows for that column. Address, I'm having the results for addresses, the different addresses. Then first, this first here, the name of the column will be sector. Then each row in that sector column will be first, like this first. I might not be pronouncing it well, but I think I'm pronouncing it well. Yeah, so that's kind of how I just did it, so that I can easily pick it from here in this place. I'll be this in this city. I can easily pick it. There are many strategies to this form of analysis. So this is the way I figured out that okay, I could do mine. Yeah, putting this first here. So so from this table, yeah, then I'm now saying filtering for the running blockchain, because this table has different blockchains. Filtering for running blockchain. Then if you notice here, I didn't do any conversion, casting anything as virtual, because this thing is normally in VAB. This is the normal VAB binary stuff. That is the same with June. So I didn't bother myself about casting. I just said, okay, where the contract address from this table is like this table, I alias it as T. I didn't put as here, but it's not significant. Like putting as there or not putting as, same thing. Putting as this, like T. That's this table. Then if you notice, I did a join in here, because if you notice, this C is this particular table. This name of this particular table, C. This particular table. This is the way to join, like the way I did it here now. Select this thing from, okay, query execution order, from comes first. So let's be talking about the from first before we come to the select statement or the work clause. So this token transfer table, I alias it as T. So forget token transfer table now, I'll be talking about T. Be looking at it as T. So T joining this kind of this thing I did here is the same thing as inner join. So you should select now. Yeah, the same thing as inner join. This is another way of doing inner join, basically. There are many ways to there's no one straightforward way to doing an analysis. If you know your SQL very well, you can manipulate data anyhow and you still get the right result, depending on how you picture it in your head. You know, this thing is more logical. So if you are thinking logically, depending on how you picture it in your head, and it feels like you will not try and work in that direction. But you also should be mindful that okay, I don't want to do it in a way that will have wrong results. So an analyst that is now trying to learn analysis now, like let's say you figured out trying to do join, you cannot come to this query now and copy what I did, then just say okay, where from tokens transfer, can call it T. Inner join C, because this is the name of this C. Inner join C. Write it like that and continue with this where clause. You will be having exactly the same result. Yeah, so but I just did it like this just so that I'll just save in just to, yeah. So I'll be having exactly the same thing, basically. So I did it like this, like joining this table. Okay, I'm calling it T now. Joining this T, I'm doing inner join here. Doing inner join with this T and this C. Now, so that I'll be having matching results when it comes to contract address here. In the work clause, I'm filtering for running and also for contract address. This kind of inner join, this kind of join allows you to join the table, then put the condition on where you're joining from in the work clause. But the other kind of join where you're using inner join now is in the inner join now you do this C, inner join C on this. When you now do that in the join statement, you will need to now start doing it in the work clause. So this is another way to do the same thing using under syntax, but you'll be having the same result. So yeah. So basically, I just joined where the contract address of this token transfer table matches with false. If you check now, this C is from this table here. So I'm making reference to C here. C dot false. False is the column. This false now is this column here. The result of false is going to appear here. Like this contract address now is just going to appear here. So this is the same thing as saying, oh, where T dot contract address matches with. If I replace this C dot false with this exact thing, I copy this and replace this with it. It's the same thing basically. So because I joined these two tables, it's not picking this column from. It's not picking the content of this column in this table. So it's not literally joining this contract address from this token transfer table with this contract address for false. I did exactly the same thing here.
Mm.
My time is
Thank you
flying.
so much, sir.
Wow.
Okay, so you can round up, sir, so that we can take the Q&A session.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really sorry that I took so much time. I didn't really realize that time was flying fast. Okay, let me just wrap up. So I did the same. I just tried to do such here for each of them. You can check out the dashboard and look at it very closely. Then in this particular place, I wanted to explain it very well, but let me just wrap up. So here I now kind of did, okay, in a case where this sector is false. In this case where this sector is false, yeah, then like when the user now in this aggregate city now, when this particular address on a specific day interacted with false, this case when false, then 1 else 0 means if it interacted with false, give me 1 true. This one means true. If this address on this specific day did not interact with false, give me false. Yeah, so this kind of gives me true and false, kind of in this case statement. Then this marks here just basically select, because you will not be having true and falses and true and falses and true and falses for many addresses. This marks now kind of aggregate it and say, okay, give me the marks. If you're having the marks of 0 and 1 will be 1. So it's not be targeting the ones that are true. The ones that are having just false, we just give an output of 0. So I did exactly the same thing with here. This place, I want to explain it in depth, but it's easy, sharp. Maybe if there are questions, I can dive deep on it. Then here in this final city, this final this thing, I say, okay, where the address, like case when this particular thing now, this particular stuff, this particular user interacted with false token on a specific day. Case when it's true. When it's true that the user interacted with false token on a specific day, then give me the address of the user. Yeah, give me the address of the user. I did exactly the same thing in the other. Then and I said, okay, count distinct addresses so that we will not be having double counting. Like if there are different addresses, count the unique addresses. So that I just did exactly the same thing. Then in this place, and I said, okay, where's the sector count? Like because I did count sector. I wanted to break this down before, sharp, but let me just conclude, sharp. When the sector counts, like for each sector now, when the number of interactions with, let's say for a specific address now, when the user interacts with one sector, when the user interacts with one sector alone on a specific day, then give me the address of that user. So it's not giving the users that interacted with one sector alone. When the user interacted with two sectors, give me the result. So this distance, this count distance now be like counting the unique, so there won't be double counting. So just because of time, I'll be wrapping up here. I think I'll be concluding here. So this kind of gave me this output here that's kind of now, okay, let me come to the dashboard. And now kind of gave me the daily active addresses of each of this one is the overall. Then I think it's here that we now started having the breakdown sector versus sector. Because that query now is the same query that I now used here, sector versus sector dominance, blah blah blah. Then users that were active on 1, 2, 3, or all 4 sectors, the number of users and their addresses, their unique users. Then sector versus sector, weekly activation and intention, so that you can now see, okay, which sector is doing better with retaining more users. Yeah, so this kind of gives a rough overview. So the remaining part of the dashboard is now doing in-depth analysis for each of these sectors. But because of time, we might not be able to touch it. But this dashboard is easily accessible and can be checked. And if there are further questions, you can always reach out to me to ask. Also, most of these things I learned with analytics series, of course. I can't thank them enough for all they've done and taught. So if you are here to sign up for cohort 6, you shouldn't be wasting time, because for you to be able to logically think about some of these, it starts with that cohort. Basically, that's where the whole journey started from. And since I started, I was part of cohort 3. It has been winning all the way. Jobs, gigs, open doors like connection and the rest. So it's something you should not play with. So I'll be ending here. Thank you very much.
Massive. Thank you, Mr. Josh. Thank you. We've got values. Please, anyone have any questions? Just drop it in the chat box, so I'll attend to it. We've got value, man. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If we have questions, drop it in the chat box, so I will attend to it. We've gone past our quota for already. I think I learned one or two things from you. I think the first thing is all of us should build dashboards that are useful. That's one thing I got from you, and that is good. And I like the colors on your dashboard, though. I like the colors, man. Guy, this is massive. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, anyone have any question? Drop it in the chat box, so that we'll tackle it within the next 2 minutes, and then we'll conclude. Right. See. I think another thing will take us next time is on this color coding. Like, it's really important for dashboard. It's really important. At least making dashboard color coding to match. That's fine.
Yeah, but well, it's just to beautify it. But the value you get from the dashboard is more important, though. Yeah, but this one is just make it attractive to make someone to want to just stick to it.
That is. I think everyone understood what you thought too. So what it means is we'll be closing this meeting now. So that is what it means. So thank you everybody for joining the meeting. I'll hand over to Onyo Basi to take it from here.
Okay. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Josh, for that wonderful session. I mean, it was mind-blowing. Thank you. Also, thank you, Mr. Icemarty, for handling the Q&A session. So, before we wrap up, okay, I just want to say that once again, this dashboard teardown is hosted by Analytic Stages, and it's meant to be a series for members of the community, right, to have opportunities like this to take us through the dashboard. Okay, you see how far you've grown, the problem you found maybe on chain, and the solution you took up to fix up that problem, and then the insight, just like Mr. Josh have done for us today. So Thank you so much. Once again, we want to say we have 19 days left to our cohort 6. If you're here and you're a newbie and you want to, do amazing things like what Mr. Joshua is doing, you can just sign up for the cohort 6 training program and be sure to follow us for more. Of course, we would be dropping an interest form. So if you're here and you would want to have the opportunity to come up and present just like Mr. Josh, you can fill that form later on. So thank you so much for joining in. Mr. Josh, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. So yeah,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
thank you guys and good night.